So what are the factors that could be affecting the gold pricing, for example? Centralized control keeps prices stable, but may limit speculative gains, for example. There is the potential for underpricing. If there is a liberalized gold market, for example. So what is the gold future values depends on inflation, economy, and policies and geopolitical shifts, which we are seeing. We're hearing about the tariffs, we're hearing about inflation. There's a lot of things happening. People are losing their jobs, they're closing down departments, for example. They're basically doing this efficiency system. But what we need to be focused on is creating our own monetary system, and that is with silver and gold, as well as stocks, providing that you seek legal advice from a financial advisor, for example, or you do your own research. But you have to make that decision, for example. And you need to look at things that are long term, not something which is a short term risk, high risk, for example, something which is, going to be a thing that you do over a 5-10 year period, for example. So check out gold prices trends over 10 years. So the Muruntau production versus the global demand, check that out for yourself. Inflation, what is the impact on gold investments? We're seeing that gold is, at $3,000, for example. Silver is also increasing as well. Currently at the moment, it's at $35 per ounce, for example. And I believe the true winner, and that's my opinion, is silver. Silver is like the tortoise. Gold is like the hare, for example. So just think about that. Do your research, have a look, listen to different podcasts, listen to different videos, listen to my lives, for example, just to get familiar with the gold and silver markets, for example. So would you invest, if you were able to, if it became available, would you invest in the Muruntau gold if that stock became available? Comment yes or no in the chat. Do you prefer physical gold or gold stocks? I would love for you to comment below as well. So what's your gold price prediction for 2025? Do you think that, because some of the specialists, the analysis, some have said that the gold is going to go up to 5,000 per ounce. Do you think that's a possibility? And that silver could go up to $800 per ounce. Do you think that's a possibility? We got to look at the gold prices and silver prices the way they are. And even though we've got this stock market where it's very volatile, up and down, try and go for things which are safe bets, things that aren't high risk, things that are steady, and really scrutinize it for like over a 10 years. See what the curves are, the dips and the highs, for example. Because like I said, when you're looking at building stock, for example, you're looking at the long-term effect. So just imagine, right, that some of the analysts have said that, 5,000 the gold could go up to per ounce, even 10,000, 15, 20,000. That is quite a big jump, isn't it? Over the next couple of years, for example. But remember that the gold mines and the silver mines, they are depleting. So they need to make sure that they've got all of their gold. so that they need it in case that they're hit with a situation where they've got gold or silver as opposed to the currency, because the currency, the cash, is devaluing. So that's why it's important for you, whether you're in business or not, to look at these aspects and try and understand about where gold comes from. You know, whereabouts are you buying your gold, for example? So we've just uncovered one of the biggest gold mines on the earth, which is the Muruntau. But the real question really remains here is, will this open up to the gold market, to investors, or will it stay a secret and build its own gold empire? You want to stay ahead of the market trends. If that is so, subscribe and turn on your notifications. The next video is whereby I do have a video here where I talk about why Warren Buffett brought silver, for example, and why he is more interested in like businesses, you know, investments like Coca-Cola, because he feels that that will never shrink, for example, because he's watched the trends, for example. But he also has invested in gold as well as in silver, although he's sold it and used things like as a hedge, for example, as a hedge fund. But just remember that you can grow your portfolio, your wealth portfolio, with purchasing things that are safe, that is not going to drop drastically, because sometimes in the stock markets things do drop. But if you've got something which is safe, like healthcare, for example, then usually that doesn't drop so much, for example, but it will go back up again. So you've got to look at what type of stocks that you want to purchase, for example. And I'm going to be going into some healthcare stocks that are steady, that is, you know, a long-term plan, that is, if you're looking at your pension, for example, put in towards a pension, or, you know, something else in 5-10 years time, then, you know, these are the perfect things to do, for example. So I do have a link here if you're interested in buying gold and silver. I am an affiliate, and I will put the link here of the company that is reputable and has been going for many, many, many years, for example. But also, I want to also say to you, thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate you subscribing to our YouTube channel. I've come on earlier than what I usually do, because usually I come on about 7 p.m. UK time, for example. But I thought I'll try and come on a bit earlier to try and catch different time zones as well, because we need to look at the monetary system, that the currency and the inflation has caused the currency to devalue, for example. And gold is high because of the currency. You know, Warren Buffett, he talked about, you know, when he was a child, for example, that the dollar would be the dollar. But as of today, it has really gone down in value. I believe it's at 75 cents as opposed to $1. Warren Buffett even mentioned that at one point it had gone down to 6 cents per dollar. So I always also watch what Warren Buffett is doing, and there is an amazing book that is called The Snowball Effect. And if you're interested in wealth building, because at the end of the day, there's things that we can do to help build our wealth. Property, but you've got to buy at the right time. For example, you don't want to buy at a high price and then you lose everything because there's a crash. For example, business. You start a business. That is an income generator. These are things that don't necessarily happen straight away. You got to spend time, you got to get to know it. And if you're going into a business, you really must understand about all aspects of that business in order to make it work, and not chop and change because you've listened to what other people have said. It's got to be aligned with you and what you want for your organization. Okay, so business is the second one. Third one, gold and silver, definitely, to help build your wealth, because the value does not go down. For example, it holds its value and it goes up. It may be slow if it's the silver, the tortoise. Gold is $3,000 per ounce. But let me tell you something, you can actually purchase scrap gold and silver and hold scrap gold parties, for example, and get them at even up to 30% off, discounted. Scrap gold or silver. And this is, I'm referring to broken jewelry here. I'm not talking about all old jewelry, things that people don't want anymore, for example. Things where it's a broken chain, things where it's a broken earring, things where someone's lost an earring, for example, and you hold a party or someone hosts a party for you, for example, and each person brings their broken jewelry, and then you can turn it into gold and silver. You separate it into gold and silver. Obviously, you test it. You've got your eye loop to make sure that it's branded. For example, you've got your testers, your acid testers, to make sure that it is the right metal. For example, it's not copper instead of silver or gold, for example. And then once you've got an amount, you can then have that changed. You can have that refined into a gold bar or a silver bar. And there's plenty of refineries out there.